Hello, church. So we're back with you for our devotional for Monday, July 6th, as we continue in Song of Psalms. Let me try that again. Song of Songs, also called elsewhere the Song of Solomon. And our commentator is Renita Weems. We'll be doing her concluding portion for our next two, yes, count them, two verses. So this is chapter 1, verses 5 and 6 that we'll be focusing on. But some really neat and challenging insights from Weems. So little briefer section should be okay, and maybe a little shorter on the video length time too. From our NRSV. I am black and beautiful, O daughters of Jerusalem, like the tents of Kedar, like the curtains of Solomon. Do not gaze at me because I am dark, because the sun has gazed on me. My mother's sons were angry with me. They made me keeper of the vineyards, but my own vineyard I have not kept. Now, let me go ahead and give you the NIV, and as a little bit of a prelude from several of the things that Weems is going to be getting into from the New International Version. Dark am I, yet lovely. O daughters of Jerusalem, dark like the tents of Kedar, like the tent curtains of Solomon. Do not stare at me because I am dark, because I am darkened by the sun. My mother's sons were angry with me and made me take care of the vineyards. My own vineyard I have neglected. Little bit of introductory commentary. A good example of how the poetry of this book provokes the cultural imagination appears in chapter 1, verses 5 to 6. It is one of those Bible passages whose interpretation has engendered a lively amount of speculation and discussion, even though the Hebrew text is relatively uncomplicated. After romancing her lover with flattery in verses 2 to 4, the protagonist speaks with pride, self-confidence, and contrary to what some have argued, without apology as she describes herself. She is, in her own words, black and beautiful, from the NRSV. The Hebrew word she uses to describe her complexion is unambiguous, despite the numerous efforts by translators to render it more euphemistically and palatably as dark, very dark, swarthy, blackish, and so on. All right, and now we'll fast forward some through to the her closing paragraphs of reflection. Of course, this is not the first time in the Bible when a foreign woman becomes a reminder of how diverse is God's vision of covenant people, and she cites Ruth and Rahab as examples of that. Nor is the protagonist in Song of Songs the first woman who functions as a mirror for self-scrutiny, and it references Moses' Ethiopian wife, the Samaritan woman at the well, and the Samaritan woman at the well. The stories of these deviant women, foreigners, harlots, and widows, who part from cultural norms, not so much by their actions, although they frequently engage in heroic or gallant feats on behalf of their community, but by nature of their physical and cultural differences, become important rhetorical lessons on the ecumenicity of God's vision of the kingdom. Forced to get into the skin of this black woman, the reader is made to see her as neither Amazon nor demon, the two extreme fears of the bigot. Her quest for love, her desire to be loved genuinely, and her willingness to give herself unselfishly to love are so familiar that even the bigot can identify with the protagonist. All of us are reminded that love has its own logic. It refuses to succumb to the human will. It is rarely predictable, and it delights in the unexpected. It forces us to do things we never anticipated, to say things we never heard ourselves say before, to submit to feelings we never felt before, and to pair ourselves with people we never imagined for ourselves. Love helps us risk stretching beyond our comfort zones. Indeed, nothing exposes us for who we really are and who we are not. Nothing divulges our secrets and unmasks our preconceptions like love. Song of Songs, with its hint at color prejudice, taps into our deepest cultural prejudices by making us confront the way they keep us from seeing certain people as individuals with needs, desires, ambitions for love, and intimacy, just like ourselves. Finally, the love-lorn female in the Song of Songs calls out our noblest yearnings. She does this first by forcing us to face our prejudices about the other, making us confront a base impulse, the propensity to differentiate ourselves from those who deviate from our expectations and fall outside the norm. She challenges the dominant aesthetics. She poo-poos the hegemonic standards of beauty. She leaves us conflicted. Do we endorse her quest to find satisfying love, irrespective of where such a search might take her? Or do we, along with her gawking audience, allow our prejudices against Black, aggressive, forward women to censure her, impose limits on her, and force her into vineyards not of her choosing? Woo! Haven't done any woos for a long time, but Renita Weems absolutely gets more than one today, but we'll just keep that to one. So we'll be back with you tomorrow as we do a whopping another 2 verses in this part. That very often academics need to focus on particular verses. So I hope that's not slogging too much for you. If it starts to feel that way, there's some other ways we can approach some things or some repetition, but good stuff from Renita Weems. We'll be back with you tomorrow as we get into our next couple and shift into chapter 2, and we will see you then. Have a great day.